When you ask yourself why the radio station is playing the same fucking songs 40 times a day, then you will want to watch this episode of Marshmallows and Machetes. Payola, the not-so-hidden history of pay to play. I'm your host, Ida Divine. We would love for you to consider subscribing to our show. You will love it. If you don't give no fucks about seeing my hair or this wonderful outfit, tap into our podcast. Payola, described as the practice of bribing someone to use their influence or position to promote a product of interest. If a record company spends enough money on payola, it can make a record a hit, any record a hit. Payola is a contraction of the words pay and Victrola, which is an LP record player. The word entered the English language via the music business. This use of financial and illegal seducements goes all the way back to the 1800s. They were used by publishers to entice popular singers to perform their songs. Is payola good or bad? For one thing, it's damaging to independent artists and small labels. It hurts the integrity of the music business in its entirety and everyone involved. It inflates the cost of, things because record labels involved in payola need the money in their budgets to pay the DJs. It's bad for radio because it makes it redundant and predictable. By the mid-1940s, a portion of the records produced in the United States went into jukeboxes. Attempts were made to link all payola to rock and roll music in the 50s. Independent record companies frequently used payola to promote rock and roll on American radio. This practice promoted cultural diversity because DJs were less inclined to indulge their own personal and racist bias. Right. The amount of money, though, involved remains largely unknown. Phil Lind of Chicago's WAIT disclosed in court on one occasion he had agreed to $22,000 to play a record. When did payola become illegal? Payola was officially outlawed in 1960 when Congress amended the Federal Communications Act to outlaw under-the-table payments and require stations to disclose if airplay for song has been purchased, right? So they had to report that. Following investigations, radio DJs were stripped of the authority to make programming decisions, and payola became a little old misdemeanor offense. Do y'all see my breasts? Okay, that's great. And then it became the responsibility of the station program directors. However, this had a result of simplifying the process of payola. Instead of reaching numerous DJs, record labels only had to persuade the station's program manager. Following the creation of music sharing websites in the late 1990s, the power of independent promoters declined and labels returned to dealing with stations directly.
So a recording artist will come to you and pay you to sit here and stream their music to run the numbers up.
Yep, yeah, just basically just run the numbers up. Some people will ask for 100K, 200K, just to get really the appearance of their music to look good when people go to their page. Oh, this song has X amount of plays, let me listen to it.
I wanted to come to you and buy 100,000 streams. How much what would that look like?
Typically probably around $1,500.
Wow. Streaming farmers are the engine of a booming black market, where music artists are faking their way to the top of the charts.
Payola as money laundering scheme. In Mexico and South America and some regions along the U.S. southern border, payola is used to launder money from illegal operations. In this practice, unknown new artists will suddenly appear on multiple formats and be aggressively promoted by producers of dubious origin, then disappear from the music scene or change their stage name. Oh, that's crazy. In 2007, four companies, CBS Radio, Citadel, Clear Channel, and Interim, settled on paying $12.5 million in fines and accepting tougher restrictions for 3 years, although no company admitted any wrongdoing. How surprising. In September 2007, the U.S. Congress held a hearing on hip-hop music entitled From Imus to Industry, the Business of Stereotypes and Degrading Images. In her testimony, Lisa Fager-Bediako, co-founder and president of Industry Ears, argued that misogynistic and racist stereotypes permeate hip-hop music because labels, radio stations, and music video channels profit from allowing such material to air while censoring other material. In that context, Fager stated, Payola is no longer the local DJ receiving a couple of dollars for airplay. It's now an organized corporate crime that supports the lack of balanced content and demeaning imagery with no consequences. The crime of payola is typically punishable as a felony, although bribery originally involved interference with judges. Its definition has since expanded to include actions by all sorts of government officials, from local to the national level, including all public employees. That's good, right? So, if you would like to report payola, complaints should be sent here. Tell on their ass. Yeah. Yeah, a little story, just a tiny little story for you guys. One time I was offered to pay $25K to get on a radio in just one region for just 1 month. My music first aired on radio in 2008 or 9 because my managers had relationships with the local station at the time and outside the city as well. I did a multi-city tour to Virginia and the Carolinas and around that area, and so I saw how rotation really boosts your career. The larger your budget determines your radio success, pretty much. Payola also expands to live performances. I was also contacted a few times to pay up to $2,500 to $3K to open up for Frankie Beverly, as well as the Bad Boy Reunion Tour. Scammers use this tactic to entice stupid artists. Since 2009, my catalog has grown, and I've charted internationally, and I've been nominated and won awards, and there are still people who only know that one song of mine because they heard it on the radio. I hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next week on Marshmallows and Machetes.